Hello friends, welcome back to my another video, and in today's video we are going to cover in class 11 chapter number 1 English Hornbill book. The chapter name is A Portrait of a Lady. The Portrait of a Lady by Khushwant Singh. So he's an Indian writer. So first of all I will read the paragraph, then we'll explain it in detail. So first paragraph says, my grandmother, like everybody's grandmother, was an old woman. She had been old and wrinkled for the 20 years that I had known her. People said that she had once been young and pretty and had even had a husband. But that was hard to believe. My grandfather's portrait hung above the mantelpiece in the drawing room. He wore a big turban and loose-fitting clothes. His young white beard covered the best part of his chest and looked at least 100 years old. He did not look the sort of person who would have a wife or children. He looked as if he could only have lots and lots of grandchildren. As for my grandmother being young and pretty, the thought was almost revolting. She often told us of the games she used to play as a child that seemed quite absurd and undignified on her part, and we treated it like a fable of the prophet, she used to tell us. So here the first paragraph, the writer is describing her grandmother in a very humorous way, means in a very funny way. So the first line says that the grandmother, we all may have grandmother, and she looked very old, having wrinkle faced and little bit bent towards front with a stick. That's all what we think when it came of a word grandmother. So it was the same grandmother. The look was same of the Khushwant Singh or the writer's grandmother, and the he from this second line that she had been old and wrinkled for 20 years that I had known her, means this line convey the message that the Khushwant Singh was around 20 years old. Why? Because he's saying that I had known her for the 20 years. Okay, now the third line, people said that she had once been young and pretty and had even had a husband. This is very funny to the writer. Why? Because since 20 years he is seeing the same grandmother, that old wrinkled face and that bent figure of her grandmother. So he cannot believe that her grandmother was once a young and beautiful woman. Okay, we all know that first we become children, we get when we born we become children, then we become teens, then we become adults, and after adult we finally get old and die. Same process was happened with the grandmother, but the writer was thinking that it's unbelievable because she is very ugly and she is very old, she cannot be beautiful in her adulthood. Then the next line, that even had a husband. The writer thought in a very funny way that the writer thought, can a woman like this, the grandmother, can even have a husband? Because this ugly grandmother can even have a husband. The writer was not believing it at all. Then the next line, but that was hard to believe. The writer was not able to believe that the ugly woman, the woman which is having her grandmother, which is having wrinkled face and little bit bent, was also having husband. It was hard to believe. My grandfather portrait hung above the mantelpiece. Now he is describing about his grandfather or the husband of her grandmother. In the drawing room, his picture, a portrait. Okay, a portrait. What is a portrait? And what is difference between, first of all, what is different between a portrait and a photo? Photo is taken by any digital device like mobile phone, camera, etc. Whereas portrait is drawn. Okay, portrait is drawn like You all have heard about let's click a photo, or you have heard about he had made a beautiful portrait. So portrait is hand drawn. So a portrait was hung above the mantelpiece, means in the dining room. It means it was hung like we in today they also we use photos as decorative piece. The same they used it as a portrait, which was in the dining room. He wore a big turban. Big turban in Hindi we call turban as pagdi. He wore a big pagdi, which is a tradition in India to wear it. If today if you see old people, you will notice that they are wearing their turbans, long turbans, and then and loose fitting clothes, all those dhotis and pajamas. The old people, this was the old fashion for the people living in the 90s and 20s. So this was for them, it was their fashion. His long white beard covered the best part of his chest. The grandfather was having a long beard. In Hindi we call it dadi. They have a long beard which used to cover the grandfather's chest. Um, and he looked at least 100 years old, like his the same as the writer told about the grandmother, that grandmother was very old wrinkled person. The same he told about the grandfather also, that he looked 100 years old, means he was very old. Then he did not look a sort of person who would have a wife or children. Here again, in a humorous way, the poet is trying to convey writer is trying to convey the message that his grandfather looked very old in that picture, and he was not ready to believe that this kind of a person who is having this type of face and all that old person's figure would have a children or wife. The same thing he told for his grandmother. Then he stated that he looked as if he had only have lots and lots of grandchildren. He don't have any wife, he don't have any son, he will only have grandchildren, but that's not even possible if he will not be having a son. So the first paragraph is told in a humorous way by the poet. Then she often no as for my grandmother being young and pretty, the thought was almost revolting. What is the meaning of revolting? Revolting means when something is against of someone, like the first revolt of India. Revolt here means that the people were against the Britishers, and they were armed. Okay, revolt is basically with arm in history, but here the revolting is used so that the writer is to convey that he was not accepting that the grandmother would be beautiful and young once a day. Then she often told us of the games she used to play as a child, that seemed quite absurd and undignified on her part. We treated it like the fables of the prophet she used to tell us. Now, if you go to your grandmother or grandfather, whoever, any old person, they will tell you about their childhood. And after seeing their face, that they are very old, they are wrinkled, means a newborn baby or a child will definitely think that it's a story, it's a false story, it cannot happen because grandfather is that old. They will not know that there are stages of the life, so they will think it's a story of prophet. Like here, the fable of prophet means the tales of the gods and that all. She used to tell us. So this was first paragraph. Now let's go to the another. She had always been short and fat and slightly bent. Her face was a crisscross of wrinkle running from everywhere to everywhere. No, we were certain she had always been as we had known her, old, so terribly old that she could not have grown older. and had stayed at the same age for 20 years. She could never have been pretty, but she was always beautiful. She hovered about the house in spotless white, with one hand resting on her waist and to balance her stoop, and the other telling the beads of her rosary. Her silver locks were scattered untidily over her pale, puckered finger, and her lips constantly moving in inaudible prayer. Yes, she was beautiful. She was like the winter landscape in the mountain, an expanse of pure white serenity, breathing peace and contentment. Now, this was the second paragraph. What this paragraph want to convey? Let's go line by line now. She had always been short, fat, and slightly bent. This line is again describing her grandmother figure, that she was short in height, she was little fat and bent towards the front. Her face was a crisscross of wrinkle. Again, the wrinkle on her face, running from everywhere to everywhere. No, we certain she had always been as we had known her. She was always the same. She looked always the same, since the writer is seeing her, or the writer, you can say, from the writer has born so terribly old that she could not have grown older. The writer is saying that she looked so old that it's impossible to look more older than her, and had stayed at the same age for 20 years and looked like she was of same age since 20 years. Now here's a turning point. She could never be pretty. She could never had been pretty, but she was always beautiful. Here writer is saying that in look wise I accept in look wise she was not pretty, but she was very beautiful. Now what do you think writer want to convey here? The thing that writer want to convey here is that in look wise she was not pretty, okay, but by her inner self she was very beautiful. She was a very good lady, she was a good grandmother, she was good mother, and she was good preach also. We will come to know about it also, how she was a good preach or teacher. Now she was always beautiful. She hovered about the house in spotless white, with one hand resting on her waist to balance her stoop, and other telling the beads of the rosary. Now she used to walk in all the house. How? Because she was old, she was taking support of her stoop. Stoop is that the stick that old people used to walk, help old people take, and take support of to you walk. And one hand is resting on the back, like you have seen, many old people would have been like walking this. Oh my child, same the writer is describing here, that with one hand resting on the back to balance her stoop, and other tilling the beads of the rosary. Here one more catch about the grandmother we will get, that tilling the beads of rosary means, many of you have seen the people counting the beads of the Rudraksh Mala. Here the Rudraksh Mala is also called as rosary. Now tilling the beads, which means she was just like this action that we do with the Rudraksh Mala. This is called tilling the beads tilling the beads of rosary. And then her silver lock was scattered entirely over her pale puckered face, and her lips constantly moving in a unaudible prayer. Means here this whole line, that I will read all the line together. She hobbled about the house in spotless white, with one hand resting on her waist to balance her stoop, and other tilling the beads of her rosary. Her silver lock was scattered entirely over her pale, puckered finger, and her lips constantly moving in inaudible prayer. These lines, we can grasp from these lines that the grandmother was a very religious person. She used to pray for the God, pray to the God. Then, yes, she was beautiful. She was like winter landscape in the mountains. Here, again, the poet is comparing. This is a simile used here, that she was like a winter landscape in the mountain. Means if you have gone to the mountain and you are at a place and seeing beautiful green mountain, and on the top of those mountains there are white peaks, so that is very beautiful. Same, the writer is comparing her grandmother with the winter landscape in the mountain. An expanse of pure white serenity, breathing peace and contentment. Pure white serenity, an expanse of pure white serenity means that a very calm, peaceful. Okay, here it is a very calm and peaceful breathing peace. Okay, so means the grandmother was very peaceful kind of person. She was calm, and the house was also, she kept the house very clean and very tidy. Then let's go to the other paragraph number 3. My grandmother and I were good friends. My parents left me with her when they went to live in the city, and we were constantly together. She used to wake me up in the morning and get me ready for school. She said her morning prayer in a monotonous sing-song while she bathed and dressed me, in the hope that I would listen and get to know it by heart. I listened because I loved her voice but never bothered to learn it. Then she would fetch my wooden slate, which she had already washed and plastered with yellow chalk, a tiny earthen ink pot, and a red pen, tie them all in a bundle, and hand it to me. After a breakfast of a thick stale chapati with a little butter and sugar spread on it, we went to school. She carried several slate chapatis with her for the village dog. So this was paragraph number 3, and now let's study it one line by line. First, my grandmother and I were good friends. Means they were like a friends. They used to talk with each other. They used to play with each other, and that all. My parents left me with her when they went to live in the city. Many of you will have faced this time that when your parents have gone or shifted to some other new place, they take some time to adjust to that place, to make all the adjustment of their house, and they leave you with your grandparents and or maybe some other. So the same was with the poet. His parents have gone to the city to live, and for making some settlement they have to take some time, they need some time, so they left the writer with their grandmother. We were constantly together. They used to live together at in the same house, in the same room, and used to talk with each other. She used to wake me up in the morning and get me ready for the school. She used to wake me up in the morning and get me ready for the school. This line convey the message that grandmother was the guardian of the children of the writer at that time. Guardian means who cares. Okay, like if you have seen in your school ID card, there is written guardian name, means who took you from school, who pick you from school, drop at home, or pick from home and drop at school is known as guardian. So at that time, the guardian was the grandmother. She said her morning prayer in the monotonous sing-song while she bathed and dressed me. She used to sing the prayer. Again, here we can see that here we can see that the grandmother was a very religious woman, and while she bathed the writer, she used to sing it in monotonous sing song, which means a very beautiful sing song sound. And she used to hope that the writer, or the name of the writer, Ch-1 Singh, that Ch-1 Singh will remember it by heart, will know it, will learn it by heart. But the Ch-1 Singh says, this will be for today's video, this will be our last paragraph. But the Ch-1 Singh said, what he said, that I listened because I love her voice but never bothered to learn it. I used to listen the prayer with the interest, but I never used to bother to learn it. Why? Why this is so? Because he was not interested in those religious songs and that all. But yeah, he used to listen because her grandmother voice was very sweet, very kind, and he used to and he loved to listen it. Then she would fetch my wooden slate, which she had already washed and plastered with yellow chalk, a tiny earthen ink pot. At that time, there were no such pen that we use today, like these all pens, but there were inks that we use, that we have to dip and then write. All those inks. Here, the poet is trying to say that are those ink. Then and red pen, tie them in a bundle and hand it to me. Means the grandmother used to tie all those slate, pen, earthen ink pot and tie it in a bundle and used to hand it over the Ch-1 Singh. At that time, again here we can notice one more thing, that at that time there were no such bags that we use today to go to school. Then after a breakfast of a thick stale chapati with little butter and sugar spread of it. What is stale chapati? Here stale chapati means you may have done it in your house, that in the night when you make chapatis and everybody is full and no one eat those chapati and they get left, so in morning you eat, maybe some of you may eat in morning. So here the grandmother used to do the same. At night she will make chapati. If the chapati were left, they were used in morning. How they eat those chapati? With little butter and sugar spread on those chapati. Okay, and they went to school. One more line. Okay, last line of this paragraph convey the message, a very important message about the grandmother. She carried several slate chapatis with her for the village dogs. With her for the village dogs. How? Village dogs. Now what this convey? That she was a very caring and loving kind of person, who, like me only, who love animals and care about them. So she used to take the same slate, the chapatis that was left from in the night, slate chapatis for the village dog. And many of us also do the same, that if the rotis or chapatis are left, we give it to the animals so that they can fulfill their stomach and they will not sleep hungry, or in morning we give them. So this was in this video we have covered 3 paragraphs, and I will try to cover other paragraph also in the upcoming video. The next video I will try to finish this chapter, and this chapter is very interesting and I personally love this chapter. With this, today's video I am done, and Jai Hind, take care, bye bye.